Well, there you are, and here I am. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, welcome back. It's been a little while. We had Hurricane Milton here in Central Florida last month, and had some schedule changes at the day job at Epcot, and which means schedule changes to shows because of days off from Epcot and being able to do shows. But back on the shows circuit once again. You've seen some of the video clips I put up, like "Dirty Water" by the Standells. That was the last one I put up a little bit ago, in commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the Red Sox reversing the curse. And if my hair looks a little wild right now, that's because, well, I need a haircut, big time. I can't afford one right now, so when it comes time, I'll get it done. Also, if you watch Adam the Woo on the Daily Woo, he interviewed my alter ego Draculus over at Gators, Ghosts, and Goblins in Gatorland. That was a good time. Thank you, Adam. I subscribe to your channel and I enjoy what you do, and thank you, Gatorland, because you're my happy place. So, why am I before you here today? Well, the Karaoke Chronicles, as promised last time, after I talked about the senior centers, I was going to talk about the march to Rhode Island. And what an interesting time that was, because what had happened was I was, living in Massachusetts, and I figured that that's where I was going to perform. And I did. I performed all over Massachusetts. But time goes on, and some of the activities assistants from some of the nursing homes in southeastern Massachusetts where I was performing went on to become activities directors at nursing homes in Rhode Island. And they called me because they got their number, or they got my number rather, from the activities directors that they worked under where they were previously. And they said, "Hey, I'm an activities director now at such and such a nursing home in Rhode Island. How'd you like to come and perform down here?" And if you know your geography, I lived in Taunton, Massachusetts, so it really wasn't that far from the Rhode Island border. So the first one to call, I don't remember I'm ashamed to admit I don't remember some people's names, but we'll just say the activities director, new activities director, who was an assistant over at Somerset Ridge in Somerset, Massachusetts, now became the director at St. Elizabeth Manor in in Bristol, Rhode Island. Not too soon after that, once again in Bristol, another assistant got a job as a director at Silver Creek Manor in Bristol, Rhode Island. So these are the two I was performing at for a while. But on my way into Bristol, I would pass through the town of Warren, and I saw, hey, wait a minute, there's two more homes here. There's Crestwood and there's the Warren Center. So I went to Crestwood first, but this was just because, again, I passed them on the road. These weren't people calling me, and I called and asked them if I could have a shot. And Crestwood was a nice place to work, to perform rather, because great residents with a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm for what I did, particularly the Elvis show. There he is behind me as always. And the Warren Center. This place is a story in itself. Not that the two in Bristol aren't. I mean, St. Elizabeth Manor only brought me in for like 3 or 4 shows, and then it kind of dropped off for whatever reason. Silver Creek Manor brought me in on a every other month basis for about 3 years. But the Warren Center, my God, that became my favorite nursing home to play at, because not only did they like what I did, they sort of challenged me to kind of up my game a little bit. Let me explain. I mean, I did Elvis, I did Neil Diamond, I did my one-man tribute to Village People and Jimmy Buffett, and this, the Jukebox Memories, which I now call Cruising Classics. But also, they would have me come in on a Saturday morning and do a 2-hour Christmas show in December. I'd never done a 2-hour show in my life up until that point. And I don't know if Silver Creek Manor got wind of it, but they had me come in on a Wednesday night and do a 2-hour Christmas show 2 years in a row. So there you have it. Rhode Island is having me up my game, so to speak. But the Warren Center also became a favorite of mine because of the people, the activities department that worked there. The people in that department were just fantastic to me. And I showed up for my very first show in denim shorts, a bright orange Disneyland t-shirt that I unfortunately no longer have, and canvas shoes. And they looked at me and were probably just like, "What's this? Who's this guy?" I probably look like a bum that came in off the street. But ultimately, what happened was I captured their imagination and I captured their attention with my presentation. You know, the director said, I couldn't keep my eyes off you. You were all over that stage. You were doing everything you could, Mike. And she said, you captured our attention, and they booked me to come back again and again and again. I did two-hour Christmas shows for them on Saturday mornings, and I did all my other shows. And I did every incarnation of Elvis. And that was a wonderful time, you know. But it didn't end there. Providence, Rhode Island. Met up with an old friend. A couple of old friends, actually. I had contacted Mary Livers Lima, who I knew from Life Care Center of Plymouth, and also from the Oaks in New Bedford, both part of the Life Care chain. But now she was activities director at a place in Providence, Rhode Island, called Summit Commons. So Mary brought me to Summit Commons, and then she said to me after I don't remember if it was the first or second show, but she said, hey Vic, we have a sister home in East Providence you might want to check out, called Waterview Villa. Like, okay. So my first time going to Waterview Villa, while I'm on my way there, I passed by a place called Bethany Home. And I'm like, ooh, what's that? Made a mental note. Then I went to do my first show at Waterview Villa. Come to find out, my old friend from a brief stay at the Royal Nursing of Fairhaven, Barbara Ellis Voltis, is the activities director over here, and she booked me for multiple shows, multiple Elvis, and my one-man tribute to the Village People, and my Disney show even she booked me for, and Neil Diamond and Cowboy Sam, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience, and then to get to reunite with her. And I'm friends with both these ladies to this day, you know, and I can't say enough. You know, I mean, it was just wonderful to be able to reach out to more new audiences in the Ocean State, you know, Rhode Island. And ultimately that led to me getting the opportunity to perform at the aforementioned Bethany Home that I had passed on my way to Waterview Villa. And did a couple shows there, Mixed Bag, Elvis, and Jimmy Buffett was actually the first one I ever did. And then with my buddy Anthony Sylvia, I may have mentioned him a time or two before when we did our Briefcase Full of Blues tribute to the Blues Brothers, and we did our Straight Outta Liverpool tribute to the Beatles, where Anthony would sing John and Paul's songs, and I would sing George and Ringo's. And so we brought those two shows to Bethany Home down there in Providence, and wonderful time there. I think there were probably 6 or 7 shows for them. Then I get a call from a place in Johnston, Rhode Island. Can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but they were they actually had 3 buildings. They had a nursing home, they had an assisted living, and then they had another type of building. I don't remember what it was, but I went to probably a rehabilitation. I went to the nursing home building, and Briarcliff Manor, that was the name. So I went and I did a show for them, and that was great. Then I did a mixed bag for Brookdale of Tiverton, Rhode Island, which is right over the Fall River line. So I got to go over there and do a mixed bag. Sadly, it was the one and only time I did a show there, but I thought it went great. Actually, it was probably right before I moved to Florida, so that's probably why I never went back. It's hard to keep track of all this, you know. But everybody I worked with at these places, some names I remember, especially if they were people that I worked with previously, and then unfortunately some names escape me. But if I don't remember your name, I apologize. I've had a lot of hits to the head. I may be concussed. I don't know. The 25 years of wrestling did a number on me, you know, and got the gray hair coming in amongst this big bush of hair of mine, and maybe it's taking brain cells out. So who knows? But I wanted to mention that because the march into Rhode Island was great, and then I did a couple. There was a couple of homes in Woonsocket and Pawtucket and Central Falls. Don't remember the names. There was one Cherry Hill Manor that I did, and I think that was Johnston as well in Rhode Island. I did a one-off, just an Elvis show for them, because yet another activities director whose name escapes me that I had met. I don't even remember where she was a director previously, but I had done a show for her somewhere else in Massachusetts. And then she ended up in Rhode Island. And then I went and did the show in Rhode Island at this particular Cherry Hill Manor. So, yeah, you know, the Ocean State was good to me. Rhode Island, right up until the end. I did all the places that I just mentioned and maybe a couple more that I don't remember. but it is primarily the towns of Bristol and Warren and the cities of Pawtucket and Central Falls and Woonsocket. There was a place in Cranston, too, that I don't remember the name. But unfortunately, I was never able to break into the Council on Aging centers in Rhode Island. I tried reaching out to Bristol and Warren and a few others, but it never happened. But that's all for the best, I guess, because there was something else in the works, and that was the move to the Sunshine State of Florida, where I now live, in the city of Kissimmee. And I've been able to do the Osceola County Council on Aging over here that services St. Cloud and Kissimmee, Yeehaw Junction, and Kenansville, and the areas down here, Hullapaw. And it's been a wonderful experience. But Rhode Island was a very, very memorable experience for me, what I can remember anyway. But the one thing I remember is I had a great time, no matter where I was performing, and the audiences were great, and that was a great experience. So Rhode Island holds the distinction of being the first state, other than Massachusetts, where I performed at nursing homes. But Florida is the first state where I performed outside of Massachusetts at a senior center. So everything has its place in history. If you like the content that I have on this channel, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell when new videos come out. I've had a lot of new subscribers lately, and I just want to thank each and every one of you. People like Dennis and Debbie, and you all know who you are. A couple people I work with at Epcot. And to the city of Kissimmee, to Kissimmee Main Street, to Diana Marrero Pinto and her crew and employees and volunteers at Kissimmee Main Street, thank you for another great year, bringing me back into the fold, into the event to do my tribute to Neil Diamond. Had to do two 15-minute sets, and it was so much fun. I can't say had to. I was glad to. It was great, especially considering that I had done Draculus earlier in the day over at Aspire St. Cloud Nursing Home down here, in Central Florida. But I just wanted to get on and briefly share with you my memories of Rhode Island. And I think that's going to wrap up the Karaoke Chronicles, because really, once I moved to Florida, the only place I've ever done karaoke here is at Old Town. And it was great in the beginning, but I'd rather not talk about it now because, they have a narcissistic host. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But Kissimmee Main Street, the city of Kissimmee, and Osceola County have been great to me down here. And my performances are still going strong. Not as, full-time and as hard and heavy as I used to do up in New England, but I'm having the time of my life here, not only being a custodian at Epcot, but continuing to be an entertainer here in Central Florida. And great time. You know what? We do have another chapter. Next time on the Karaoke Chronicles, we're going to talk about my arrival in Central Florida and where I performed and some experiences I've had down here. So with that, this is your good friend Vic Solo saying thank you so much, and y'all be good now. Take care.